Many of us take for granted the ability to drink fresh, clean water when we turn on the tap. People who lack access to clean water have a higher risk of contracting waterborne diseases, and that can lead to serious illness. While we hear of US communities with contaminated water, like Flint, Michigan, who still doesn't have clean water, by the way, the percentage of Americans who lack access to clean water is very small, at 0.8%. Some of the places on this list, however, anywhere from 33% to 81% of the population lacks basic access to clean water, meaning that clean water is either unattainable or takes more than 30 minutes to collect. Welcome to our channel, and today we'll look at 10 places with the worst drinking water. You'll be surprised to know that of the 7 billion people that live on planet Earth, around 2.1 billion lack access to a constant, clean water supply, according to the World Health Organization. So, let's get started. Number 10. Mexico. Mexico comes in 10th place of our list, as nearly 3/4 of the people in Mexico drink packaged water. The crisis is so bad that Mexico has become the third largest consumer of bottled water at 8.23 billion gallons. South of Cancun, even the locals don't drink the water. The water table in Yucatan is very close to the surface and is contaminated by garbage dumps and runoff. Even in the poorest sections, the corner store sells huge bottles of purified water, and kids drag carts filled with bottles to sell. While governments have done their best to improve wastewater sanitation and treatment, geological factors have been working against Mexico for their clean water supply. The country itself is split between two tropical areas of the globe that make for clashing conditions. Mexico's southern half sits in the intertropical area of the globe, and the northern half rests in the temperate area. Number 9. Ghana. Ghana is yet another country with an exceedingly poor water quality, where more than 5 million people, which is roughly 18% of the population, have to rely on surface water to meet their daily water needs. They're vulnerable to water-related illness and disease, and tap water is definitely unsafe and should be avoided. Many parts of the country lack access to improved sanitation, and the only water that has been boiled or previously treated should be consumed. Most people rely on surface water sources, which frequently contain life-threatening parasites and high microbial content. In some regions of the country, the water has significant water discoloration and contains dangerous minerals. Communities, particularly in rural areas, also lack basic training and capacity to maintain wells, hand pumps, and other systems that well-intentioned organizations have provided. Lack of proper sanitation and hygiene frequently compounds contamination of existing water sources. Number 8. Bhutan. Due to its geographical location, Bhutan is blessed with plenty of water sources in correlation to per capita, so there's actually an abundance of water. Bhutan's per capita water availability of 109,000 cubic meters every year is one of the highest in the region. This is in complete contrast to the relative water stress suffered by neighboring countries, India and China. Now, here comes the kicker. Only a third of managed drinking water in Bhutan is free from contamination, and access to the water is the biggest challenge for scattered communities living on the mountain slopes where they draw water from small, sometimes distant streams and springs. The country needs better development and coordinated management of existing water sources. 7. Pakistan. Pakistan has one of the worst water sanitation systems in the world, and is known as the country with the biggest gap between the rich and the poor. Ironically enough, Pakistan is a country blessed with enough surface and groundwater resources. The problem was industrialization, urbanization, and rapid population growth that has polluted water to the point where it may contain impurities. In Pakistan, their water sanitation system and drainage lines run in parallel, which causes leakages and intermixing, resulting in deterioration of water quality. Drinking water sources, both surface and groundwater, are contaminated with coliforms, toxic metals, and pesticides throughout the country. In Pakistan, about 50% of diseases and 40% of deaths occur due to poor drinking water. It's widely considered that if Pakistan had a more controlled growth and management of their water resources, these terrifying things wouldn't have destroyed its water quality. Though right now it's too late to fix anything there. Before we jump into the next one on our list, be sure to like this video, click the subscribe button, and turn on notifications. I bet you'll be thinking about this video the next time you have a glass of water. Also, leave us a comment on what you think about our list. 6. Cambodia. Nearly half the population of Cambodia does not have access to safe water and basic sanitation. Some 6.3 million out of 14.9 million Cambodians are unable to access clean drinking water, most of them poor and living in rural areas. And just like some of the others on our list, the rural areas have it worse than everyone else. Improving the quality of rural water would help accelerate Cambodia's social and economic development. Approximately 77% of Cambodians live in rural areas, all of which have poor access to water sanitation due to the government not funding enough programs for proper quality water infrastructure. Number 5. Ethiopia. More than 62 million people are impacted by the Ethiopia water crisis. In fact, 7.5% of the global water crisis is in Ethiopia alone. But it's not just about water. Unsafe sanitation and poor hygiene practices, combined with a lack of access to safe water, contribute to the spread of disease. In Ethiopia today, more than 97 million people do not practice proper sanitation. Of those who lack access to improved sanitation, a surprising 23 million practice open defecation, which greatly compromises the access to healthy drinking water. The major river in Ethiopia is the Blue Nile. However, most drinking water in Ethiopia comes from groundwater, not rivers. And because of the problem with open defecation, groundwater tends to be the worst affected by unsanitary measures. 4th. Uganda. Uganda is a landlocked country in the east of Africa. The country has a population of 38 million, which is based largely outside of the cities in small-scale rural communities. Unfortunately, 8 million people in Uganda are living without access to a safe source of drinking water. Whilst Uganda does have more than enough natural fresh water for its population, the problem is that this water is unequally distributed throughout the country. Water quality is very limited in rural areas of Uganda, and the country as a whole lacks basic necessity. Around 21% of Ugandans lack access to safe water, and a staggering 87% do not have sufficient sanitation facilities. Tap water in Uganda is so unsafe that even brushing your teeth could be dangerous. And let's not even talk about accidentally swallowing water when taking a shower. Number 3. Nigeria. Nigeria is the most densely populated country in Africa. Home to over 180 million people, it buzzes with the customs and languages of more than 500 ethnic groups. It's so rich in water resources that many of its 36 states are named after rivers. The country has 215 cubic kilometers a year of available surface water. South Africa, for example, has about 49 cubic kilometers a year. While Nigeria is rapidly improving its water quality, it still falls behind many other countries with good water quality, as only 19% of its people drink from safe sources. Why is this happening in a country with abundant water resources? You see, Nigeria suffers from economic water scarcity, the inability to properly manage, use, and protect water resources for socio-economic development and environmental sustainability. New research shows that water management needs different approaches. Nigeria's drinking water is unpurified groundwater, which usually contains bacteria, pollutants, pesticides, heavy metals, and disease such as dysentery, typhoid, and cholera. Number 2. Congo. The Democratic Republic of Congo has one of the worst water sanitation policies in the world, and terrible water quality on top of that. Being one of the poorest countries in the world doesn't help it in this department either, as the country has a lack of infrastructure, insufficient water storage, and treatment facilities. They have poorly maintained water systems, which can be very dangerous due to old rusted pipes that have started to pollute the water. Residents have to walk 3 miles to get water from the nearest stream in Kasongo, and this trip takes around 2 hours. This is just a small example of many. One of the most common illnesses caused by unsafe drinking water is cholera, precisely due to low sanitation, and around 20,000 people die from cholera every year. For those reasons, the Democratic Republic of Congo has one of the worst water qualities in the world. Things get much worse in the rural areas of Congo, with only 21% of people having access to nearby water. Number 1. Nepal. Nepal is landlocked between India and China, known for its mountain peaks. This small country contains 8 out of the 10 highest peaks in the world, including Mount Everest. The economy, on the other hand, makes this country one of the poorest in the world, ranking 197 in GDP, gross domestic product. Even though an estimated 80% of the population has access to drinking water, it is not safe. Those belonging to poor and excluded groups in rural areas have limited to no access. Many in remote areas have to rely on small brooks running from the mountains and spend hours traveling to get water. Still, the drinking water available is not safe, as supplied water is often polluted. One of the reasons for this is due to the fact that the surface and groundwater in Kathmandu Valley is deteriorating by natural and anthropogenic contaminations. The surface water is polluted by industry and domestic waste, along with discharge of untreated sewage from tightly packed residential neighborhoods. It's without a doubt that the domestic sewage system is deemed one of the top sources of water pollution that seeps into rivers and lakes, which are the primary sources of drinking water. So, what do you think of these places that have terrible water quality? Did you expect them to have such troubles? Let us know in the comments. Also, don't forget to leave us a like, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more fantastic video content like today. We hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time.